Okay, good morning. Welcome to a regular meeting of the panel of utility commissioners and staff of the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, held today, Wednesday, November 9th, 10 a.m. by a remote teleconference. My name is Chairman Marissa Gillette. I'm joined virtually today by my colleagues, the Vice Chairman Jack Bukowski and Commissioner Michael Karen. We have a regular calendar and a consent calendar in front of us today. 3 items on our regular calendar, so we will turn to that first. The first item on today's regular calendar is docket number 1712-03 RE07, PURA's investigation into distribution system planning of the electric distribution companies, also known as PURA's Equitable Modern Grid Initiative. Specifically, we're here for consideration of the 7th track decision into non-wires alternatives or non-wires solutions. So we will turn to the Managing Director of Technical Staff, Josh Ryer, for a presentation of the decision for the panel's consideration, please.
Great, thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Vice Chairman Bukowski and Commissioner Karen. Today's decision in docket number 1712-03 RE07 establishes a non-wire solutions or NWS process applicable to the Connecticut Light and Power Company doing business as Eversource Energy and the United Illuminating Company. The NWS process is a transparent mechanism to leverage competitive forces to fully capture the benefits of non-wire solutions in meeting distribution system needs, with the ultimate objective of improving outcomes for ratepayers and advancing Connecticut's public policy goals. In accordance with the Equitable Modern Grid Framework established by the authority on October 2nd of 2019, the authority initiated the current proceeding on June 29th of 2020 to establish this transparent and competitive process for comparing potential NWSs, such as solar storage, energy efficiency, and demand response, against traditional distribution system capacity upgrades and other utility expenses. Over the course of the approximately 2 years, the authority held 3 technical meetings, solicited 4 sets of written comments, and issued a straw proposal, a proposed program mechanics document, and a proposed final decision, upon which stakeholders provided input on each. The NWS process authorized in today's decision builds on similar initiatives that have been implemented in other states in a way that is adapted to Connecticut's needs and integrated with other initiatives from PURA, such as the Equitable Modern Grid Framework and performance-based regulation proceeding docket number 210515, which was authorized through Public Act 20-5. Today's decision and the accompanying design document provide the key procedural and substantive requirements for the NWS process and lays out a stakeholder process for developing key materials and analytical tools by the middle of 2024, with the NW process beginning in full in 2025. As the commissioners know, PURA reviews EDC investments to ensure that they are prudent and meet other relevant requirements under longstanding regulatory principles. The NWS process is designed to improve upon the existing process for prudence review with additional mechanisms for improved transparency and stakeholder input, which will allow both PURA and stakeholders greater insight into the EDC's decision-making process. The new process contains a flexible approach to annually screen which EDC investments can reasonably expected to be subject to a competitive solicitation. This process includes annual EDC filing requirements and opportunities, this new approach is designed to balance the goals of comprehensiveness, administrative efficiency, and discourage gaming around arbitrary thresholds. My apologies for that. The decision recognizes that increased transparency and competition must be accompanied by diligent attention to issues around grid reliability and data security. PURA and the EDCs have existing processes for the protection of sensitive data and vendor qualification that can be a starting point for these efforts. Other PURA initiatives, notably the Energy Storage Solutions Program, can also serve as a starting point to ensure that EDCs have sufficient visibility and dispatch capabilities to allow non-utility resources who win any such competitive solicitation to be counted on when needed. Eversource and UI ultimately retain responsibility for the safe and reliable operation of the distribution grid and have the responsibility under the NWS process for their own decision-making, subject, of course, to PURA's review. All costs associated with the NWS process will ultimately be recovered through base distribution rates. However, PURA has allowed a provision for incremental EDC expenses in certain instances to be covered through an interim cost recovery mechanism in a manner that prevents double recovery of costs. A shared savings incentive is included in the decision to provide the EDCs with an incentive and to encourage them to fully engage with the NWS process and to encourage measures that save ratepayers money. Ultimately, the NWS process authorized in today's decision is an innovative new process to incorporate non-wire solutions into Eversource and United Illuminating's planning in a way that advances the public interest through better ratepayer outcomes and more cost-effective achievement of Connecticut's public policy goals. As such, staff recommend approval. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time and attention to that long summary.
Thank you, sir. So is there a motion?
I move adoption, Madam Chairman.
Second, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. The decision has been regularly moved and seconded. Before we take the vote, I'll pause for any comments from my colleagues. And I can turn to Commissioner Karen first, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, obviously this has been a docket that's been before us for quite some time. And certainly a lot of work has gone into it, and appreciate all the efforts of all the stakeholders who've taken part. Having said that, we take the written exceptions very seriously here, as well as the oral hearing part of the docket. And when our friends from the EDCs raised some concerns, certainly this commissioner went through this docket again and again, trying to understand some of the issues. And I appreciate the fact that we are, our ultimate hope is, once this is up and going, is that this will be managed through the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority as opposed to an outside consultant, even though that consultant will be an extension of staff. And I think, I hope that gives some comfort to our friends at the EDCs, as well as some of the issues concerning security, cybersecurity, and other issues that may arise with using third parties, as we try and find a way and a way that's worked before, that is competition, to put downward pressure on rates whenever and wherever possible, with the understanding that ultimately the EDCs are responsible for the maintenance of the distribution system, and we will work with them to make sure that it continues to be reliable and secure. With that, Madam Chairman, I expect to support this decision.
Thank you, Commissioner Karen. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This morning, I will vote with reservations to approve docket 1712-03 REO7 in support of the non-wires solution goals that this docket articulates. I too would like to thank you and the staff and all the stakeholders who spent a lot of time and effort in this docket. The stated objective of creating a transparent mechanism to leverage competitive forces to fully capture the benefits of this in meeting distribution system needs, with the ultimate goal of improving outcomes for ratepayers and advancing Connecticut's policy goals, are certainly laudable. We can't disagree with that, and certainly in the public interest. A little bit less clear is exactly what mechanisms will be and how the competitive force will capture the benefits assumed and what changes will affect grid security. We do not know yet what the individual grid will look like and what changes might be introduced into this vital component, and as how supply chain issues will be monitored and what management oversight and audits will be to ensure public safety. Our experience with deregulation has certainly proven to us that laudable objectives, when put into practice, can bring negative and unintended consequences, and certainly none of us want that. In similar fashion, it is difficult to proceed with the implications of this docket without anxiety as to what changes will emerge and conviction that they will bring adequate safety and security to the grid. We should consider this docket. I really believe this morning, because I too spent a lot of time as Commissioner Karen, and I know you did, Madam Chairman, looking at the written exception, looking at the docket and all the work into it. But I think this is not a final solution this morning. We need to examine and evaluate changes as they arise. As we proceed with the non-wire solutions innovations, we need to hear and heed the advice of the heed the concerns of the EDC concerning regarding new players, equipment, practices, and procedures that might make delivery of electric less safe and secure. This docket certainly ought to track the promises of better transparency and competition. It does not describe delineate adequate plans and assurances as to how such progress will be realized. My vote is to proceed with the perspective that non-wire solution is an unfinished business requiring continued vigilance. And I really firmly believe this because we've been around here a long time. We've seen a lot of good things. Like remember, the competitive market was going to be the cure-all to electric prices, and the gas market was going to be the cure-all to our energy needs. But we need to have continued vigilance and ongoing scrutiny of actual changes it will bring forth. I do plan on supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues. So I will offer a brief statement myself, and then we will take a vote on this matter. I'm going to start by thanking our staff that worked on this. Managing Director I put together a fantastic team that has put a lot of time and effort into developing this process, which I think we heard during the summary is an innovative approach to integrating non-wires alternatives. And for those keeping track at home, with the conclusion of this decision, that means we will have completed work on 9 of the 11 tracks of the Equitable Modern Grid Initiative that were announced just 3 short years ago. And during that time, we also collectively addressed shortcomings from the tropical storm Isaias. We had a pandemic to address. So the fact that we have reached final decisions in 9 of the 11 tracks, I just want to pause and, reflect on all the work that has gone into that. The remaining 2 tracks were far along in wrapping those up. And there's a pretty clear runway to wrapping those 2 tracks up in the near future. With today's decision, I think we have further addressed the information disadvantage that I consistently find PURA and our stakeholders to be in that information disadvantage, by design of how regulation and regulatory frameworks have evolved over the past century or so. And I think that's a real shame, and it puts us, in a difficult position when we're trying to evaluate the prudency and reasonableness of decisions. And so we took a big step forward in the REO8 decision a few weeks ago in terms of starting to bridge that information divide. And I think today's decision furthers that. And I anticipate with the implementation of the non-wire solutions program that will be adopted through today's decision, that we will be able to more effectively regulate these utilities and the prudency of the investments they're seeking cost recovery for. So with that, it's my pleasure to say that I will be supporting this, and I thank my colleagues for their comments and consideration. And with that, I would ask Mr. Bumpin to please take the roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Pekoski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen. Commissioner Karen.
Yes.
Thank you. The decision has been adopted. We'll turn next to docket number 220603, GB2 New Haven LLC's application to establish 2023 revenue requirements. And we have Mr. Guy Novello from Authority staff here this morning to present the decision for the panel's consideration.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Vice Chairman and Commissioner Karen. This docket is for the annual filings of the selected Peking project developers. They are required to demonstrate revenue requirements for the period commencing January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 to recover their projected capital costs, annual operations and maintenance, administrative and general expenses for the Peking facility. The company's annual proposal is known as the Annual Fixed Revenue Requirements Application. On June 30th, 2022, Generation Bridge 2 filed an annual fixed revenue requirement application for 2023 in which the company requests a revenue requirement of $20.183 million. Excuse me. Connecticut General Statute 16-243U requires the authority to conduct an annual contested rate case in which Peak Kings generators shall be entitled to recover its prudently incurred costs. The authority conducted the following comprehensive analysis in determining the annual revenue requirement. Expenses. The annual expense portion of GB2's revenue requirement is determined by escalating actual operating costs for the most recent full year using escalation factors from decision dated January 8th, 2013 in the application of PSEG's New Haven for the establishment of their 2013 revenue requirements. Consequently, the authority must determine the actual incurred operating expenses and apply the appropriate escalation factors. GB2's escalated operating expense consists of fixed O&M costs and rent. For 2021, GB2's actual fixed O&M costs net of interconnection expenses were approximately $2 million. The authority finds that the escalation of the fixed O&M and rent expenses for 2023 AFRR is consistent and in accordance with the methodology established in the 2013 AFRR decision. The rent was escalated to $2.56 million and does not exceed the 2% cap amount. The authority approved the total fixed cost of $2.56 million for 2023. The actual 2021 interconnection charges were $214,000. The difference between the approved and the actual expenses resulted in an overcollection of $40,000. This amount accrued interest at an interest rate of 3.25 and 3.6 from January 2021 through December of 2023. The result is a balance of $41,000 to be refunded to ratepayers, and the authority has reviewed and approved the balance of $41,000 to be refunded to ratepayers through the 2023 AFRR. The company is seeking to recover $2.7 million in transaction-related expenses associated with financing, including legal and other expenses related to the cost of debt issuance. The authority reviewed and has approved an amortized amount of approximately $500,000 for the inclusion in the 2023 AFRR. The authority also analyzed and approved total expenses of $13.6 million, which included interconnection charges, other operating expenses, income taxes, and interest expense. The rate-making capital structure will reflect a proxy 50% equity and 50% debt capital structure, rather than using the company's actual capital structure per the decision dated in docket 11-1202 in the application of PSEG New Haven's establishment for 2012 revenue requirements. Net the asset retirement obligation, accumulated deferred excess taxes, and the authority's adjustments, the average calculated rate base for 2023 is $82 million. This imputes $41 million for long-term debt and a corresponding $41 million in shareholder equity based on the 50-50 proxy capital structure. A return on equity of 10.35 is applied to the imputed capital structure, and GB2's calculated cost of debt using 4.27% fixed rate of interest associated with notes issued by the company, which translates to a weighted average cost of capital of 7.31%. Based on the analysis conducted by the authority, it is approving an annual fixed revenue requirement of $17.792 million, as opposed to the company's requested $20.183, for a savings of $2.391 million to ratepayers, or an 11% reduction of the requested amount. The authority also directed the company to bid the peaking facility into the summer 2023 and winter 23-24 auctions using the latest ISO New England capacity ratings with no additional reduction, and the company will bid 100% of the peaking facility's qualified capacity. Thank you for your attention in this decision, and staff recommends the commission approve this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I move adoption, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Thank you. The decision's been regularly moved and seconded. There are no questions or comments, so you can take the roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The decision has been adopted. Thank you, Mr. Novello. We will turn to our final item on today's regular calendar. The the docket number 220803, the annual non-residential renewable energy solutions program review, the year 2 review of the NRES program. We'll turn to Mr. Will Taylor to present the decision for the panel's consideration, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. In this decision, in docket number 220803, the authority adopts into the non-residential renewable energy, or NRES program documents, the new statutory language of Public Act number 22-14, most notably increasing the overall megawatts available under the program each year from 60 megawatts to 110 megawatts, and allowing projects to utilize all available rooftop space. Additionally, new price caps were set for project applications received in calendar year 2023. On June 30th, 2021, the authority issued a decision in docket number 200701, establishing a combined successor program to the state's low and zero emissions renewable energy credit and virtual net metering programs for non-residential customers. As outlined in the 200701 decision, the authority is to initiate a docket annually to review key program metrics with stakeholders and to evaluate whether and how the program should be modified to more fully accomplish the objectives established in the non-residential in the decision. The authority conducted the first annual NRES program review in docket number 210803, the year 1 annual non-residential renewable energy tariff program, issuing a decision on November 3rd, 2021. This decision is the second annual NRES program review. Based on stakeholder input, other key elements of this decision include updating the bidding size categories for the NRES program in light of the changes made by Section 1 of Public Act number 22-14, which increased the size limitation for NRES projects from 2 to 5 megawatts, as well as increasing the refundable performance assurance fee to match the SCEF program, or Shared Clean Energy Facilities Program, to decrease the number of speculative bids and help ensure that the sustained orderly development of the state's solar industry. In this decision, the authority also adds a solar canopy and carport bid preference to the NRES program, encouraging the preservation of underdeveloped land, thereby furthering the state's preservation goals. Additionally, this decision provides direction on managing and updating practices for the hosting capacity maps to ensure that the hosting capacity maps show accurate and valuable information to project developers, and to ensure program accessibility through a clear and simplified process. Further, in this decision, the requirements of the distressed municipality bid preference are updated to ensure that the benefits of the bid preference are going solely to distressed municipalities, thereby promoting principles of the environmental justice and advancing the program objectives. Ultimately, today's decision is another step in advancing the NRES program by helping to ensure least cost outcomes, as well as increasing program inclusivity through the updates to the distressed municipality bid preference, resulting in a more equitable NRES program and enhancing the alignment between the NRES program and the program objectives. Staff recommends approval, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Is there a motion?
I move adoption, Madam Chairman.
Second motion.
Thank you. The decision has been regularly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments before we take the roll?
Madam Chairman, if I could, just really quickly, one of the last points Taylor made concerning the distressed municipalities. And I understand during the oral arguments that some of the solar providers, developers would like to see an expansion, I guess, beyond beneficial accounts beyond the distressed municipalities. And while that may be something I'll be open to in the future, at this time, I think the intent of the law is to help the distressed municipalities. And I know they get that first help by being the host, but also I think by developing beneficial accounts within a distressed municipality is exactly, and someone who used to represent a distressed municipality. I think it's important that we address that first. And at some point in the future, maybe we can address beneficial accounts in different jurisdictions going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Karen. Anything further from my colleagues? If not, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Bumpton, could you please take the roll?
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The decision has been adopted. That completes our regular calendar. So we will turn to our consent calendar, on which there are 8 items. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move today's consent calendar items 1 through 8.
I will second it.
Thank you, gentlemen. The consent calendar has been regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Bumpin, please take your roll.
Chairman Gillette,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Karen,
Yes.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been adopted. With that, we have reached the end of today's regular meeting agenda. We will adjourn. Just as a reminder to folks, we will not have a regular meeting next Wednesday, November 16th. Instead, we will reconvene for a regular meeting on Wednesday, November 23rd. The commissioners will be in attendance at the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners meeting next week, where we will see the election of our own Commissioner Michael Karen to be the president of that National Trade Association for Utility Commissioners. So we will be not available next Wednesday, as we will be celebrating Commissioner Michael Karen and learning from our colleagues. So I appreciate everyone's attendance today. We will adjourn. We will reconvene on Wednesday, November 23rd at 10 a.m. Thank you very much.